Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to this month's episode of the Preorder Roundup, the show where we go over a ton of figures currently up for sale and just discuss them. This month's theme is the bunny that shook the community. You probably know what I'm talking about. She's also in the thumbnail, but if not, I guess stick around and we'll get there soon. Honestly though, that's about all I need to say, so let's just start talking about figures. Let's start with the new Ryza of the month. Bet you didn't see that coming, huh? Yeah, this is another one from Phat Company, a swimsuit figure, though I'd highly argue against that term. It's really more just a beach figure, cause it kinda just looks like she took some clothes off and jumped right in. Hey, I ain't knocking it. In fact, I think this looks fantastic. Look at the way they sculpted her wet top. Geez, that really does look nice. Also, again, pretty sure that's a bra and not a bikini top underneath, so yeah, I'm sticking with not a swimsuit figure, but that bra peeking through the clothes is top quality stuff. Ryza looks really lively in this figure. Her expression is fantastic and looks a lot better than the previous Phat figure. Didn't skimp out on the thick either. Her thighs are huge, and funny enough, her pants are starting to rip. It's the only area that has some sort of tear in the clothing, so rather than it being like battle damage, it just kind of makes it feel like her thickness can't be contained. There's also a lot of extra nice details throughout this figure, such as her boots being removed and laid out on the beach, the chestnut, which is a really weird looking chestnut, and the towel she's holding up in the wind has a nice pattern painted onto it. Definitely one of my favorite Ryzas so far. They really are improving over time. It's a steep price of nearly 28,000 yen, but I've seen her go for around 22,000 yen at other stores, which isn't so bad. This is the Altria Pendragon Knights PE uniform, one of the last few figures left by Aquamarine, maybe even the last one, I'm not really sure. It's a fairly simple figure that has a bright, cute appearance to it. For me, the selling point is her eyes. Before this was painted, I didn't really care for it, but with the paint, I can't help but love the color of her eyes and as a result, her face along with them. The price of this one is very affordable, which makes sense. There's nothing really else to talk about with the PE uniform, and I wouldn't really say there's much else to be impressed by, honestly, but she still manages to have something that catches my eye. Next up is a trio of figures, the GAD line, a set of girls illustrated by Neko, who has worked on the A to Z line of figures, which you may be familiar with. Best part about these figures, honestly, is the price. Just under 14,000 yen before discounts makes all three of these figures super affordable. And considering their unique design, I gotta be honest, these are tempting. We've got Karasu, a masked girl with a large sword, Ten, who fights with gauntlets, and Inu, who wields a baton. All three of them are in very basic poses, wearing nice business suits with armor pieces in various places. Slick designs all around due to their slimness and minimalistic color palettes. I really love the masks that Karasu and Inu wear, but Ten goes for an eye patch instead. The heel designs are probably the most unique aspects for each figure, especially on Ten. Gotta imagine they're used for fighting. If you buy all three of these lovely ladies, you can combine their bases to have all of them displayed together. But even just one of them looks great, plus each of their bases are so small that their shelf space taken up will be very minimal. Well, this is certainly cute. Chica as a Christmas gift, all dressed up in a Santa outfit and emerging from this giant present. She even comes with minifigures of Miko and Yu. More figures need to do this, by the way, like the No Game No Life figures Phat Company used to make. Can't imagine it costs too much and gives huge incentive to pre-order these figures when they're included. Anyway, this figure is made by B-Box, one of those unproven companies, so it's a tough call on this one. Not to mention Christmas figures usually aren't in demand, so there's a chance she'll bin. But do I like how this figure looks? Yeah, it's honestly very cute, and I think my favorite part might actually be the ribbons. They're just so pleasing to look at for some reason, twisting all around the box and whatnot. It goes without saying that Chica also looks adorable, and this figure is just a fun idea in general. So I think this is a wait and see situation. There's not enough reason for you to pre-order day one, unless you're absolutely in love with this figure. Toga from Spirit Tail is finally up for pre-order. We've talked about this one a lot, so I'll keep it brief, but everything about this one's prototype is near flawless to me. Toga's face is basically perfect and looks insanely cute. Her hair no longer looks like cheap translucent plastic, and that base is one of the best I've seen in a long time. Phenomenal looking in terms of the concept, the sculpt of the plushies and garbage, the shading and the paint job. They made garbage look amazing, and committing to all this might be pricey, but as a collector, I love seeing new and unique sculpts. But can we believe in Spirit Tail at this point? I don't know. Here's the thing though, I ended up caving and ordering the Corone. Guess I'm just weak-willed, but what that means is that I'll finally get a better idea of what their quality actually is. I'll be making a video on that one soon enough if you're interested, but anyway, I really do hope this one turns out great. I hope those chains, by the way, are not any type of material that could potentially scratch or damage this figure. Please tell me they thought about that one during the production. Also, she comes with a bonus faceplate, but in my opinion, it's much worse than her default, so I'm just gonna pretend like it's not even there. man, what I would do to get some affordable Ippo figures. So when I saw that Orca Toys were making a Takamura, my heart stopped for a second until I realized how weird this release is. Price aside, which is too much for me anyway, resin will do that to figures, there's also 3 different versions of this guy. The normal version, the beaten up version, and then like the super beaten up version. So pick your favorite and forget the others exist is what I think. I mean, the sculpting on this guy is impressive. The muscle definition and the creases in his shorts are top notch, though his face doesn't look perfect to me, which I guess makes it easier to not pick this figure up if I'm being honest. This is a new swimsuit figure for Ruler by Kotobukiya. Geez, her outfit design is so intricately detailed, I gotta imagine that took a lot of effort to design that pattern, likely where the price tag is coming from too. Kotobukiya's figures costing 20,000 yen I guess are going to become pretty normal soon, sadly. It's very pretty though, but I'm not really digging how saturated her hair looks. It comes across as flatly shaded. You can take off her top layer of her swimsuit as well as her hat, which is nice I suppose, but removing the higher quality aspects of this figure isn't something I'd ever do. This is another figure that you'll need to pre-order through Kotobukiya if you want to get her alternate faceplate though, so prepare to pay a little bit more if you're interested in that. The Mega House Kakashi Susano figure went up for pre-order as well this month, thankfully nowhere near as expensive as Itachi was, especially if you want to ditch the light up feature. I don't think that's that important, but it does look a little bit better with the lights on. I was a little worried about this one, but I think the effect pieces turned out great, and the ripples of water on the base are a nice touch. It's a pretty cool looking Kakashi figure, I must say. This is the second Wedding Neptune figure I'm seeing this week actually, but I'm thankful that it looks nothing alike, plus we get to see this one painted. The wedding dresses are actually fairly similar in a good way. The sculpting of each layer is beautiful and are shaded in a really lovely light blue. The flowers at her waist maybe would be better at a slightly different shade, but only because it blends in and then it becomes harder to appreciate that detail. The effect parts on this figure are actually really cool looking. The angles and shapes of each piece looks really stylized to me in a very cartoony way. Like with those huge stars, it kind of reminds me of something from like a Gainax or Trigger show. The shading on her hair looks great, and both of her faceplates look really cute. I think the sword design looks a bit cheap, but that's about the only thing I don't really like about this figure. As a bonus, most of her outfit is cast-offable, so for whatever reason, if you want to spend all this money and then remove her clothes, hey, you can do that too. Belle Dandy from Oh My Goddess. This is a pretty big surprise. Her hair is out of this world. It looks amazing, but I'm really not digging the pink flowers on the dress or the base itself. When they're separated from each other, they look fine, but when clumped together, it just looks like a mess of blocky plastic that doesn't really look pleasant at all, unfortunately. The idea of the flowers spiraling up towards her is good, but the effects kind of fall flat. Doesn't really look too nice and almost feels phoned in. Her face also doesn't look that great to me, so despite her hair and also violin looking top notch, the rest of it just doesn't work in my opinion, nor does it feel justified asking 30,000 yen for it. Alright, let's do the bunny figures of the month. I'm going to start off with Rindo from Food Wars. Now this is a really popular bunny figure. The original one could go for like $800 at some points, which is just ridiculous to me. I don't know how some people could spend that much money on one bunny figure, but to each their own, I suppose. Either way, I think this is a rare instance where the bare leg version actually works. I'm not going to say it looks better, but I think it looks at least like on par or so with the original release. It just, I don't know, it just looks really sexy to me. Obviously her face is probably the selling point of this figure. She definitely just has this really like mature, sexy vibe to her that a lot of bunny figures don't seem to have. I think that's why this one is popular, but either way, now you could save yourself a lot of money by going with this one instead. So this one, the Yuna Bearsuit version, is a bit of a dud. Unfortunately, this one just doesn't really make any sense to me. They took away the stockings, which is fine. They changed her expression, which is great, just makes it a little bit different. But then they took away this character's puppets. Normally she has puppets on her hands, so instead, they just gave her normal hands instead. They make that sound like a feature, newly sculpted hand parts, but who are they really kidding, right? It just makes this figure less unique, less interesting, less of its own thing, and that just can't really be celebrated. So it's going to cost you more money for less plastic, and in my opinion, an inferior figure. I feel like this is one that you just don't get. If you missed out on Yoko, she is also getting a bare leg version from Gurren Lagann. I feel like I don't really need to sell you on this one. I believe it was another like very expensive aftermarket figure, as they all typically tend to be, so if you missed out, you know, you get another second chance at a very popular character. And then a surprise re-release, we got the Hatsune Miku My Dear Bunny version, but it actually kept the stocking, so it's just the original figure if you missed out. So I could argue about how this makes no sense, but I think, you know, for the Hatsune Miku fans, it's a win, and I'm gonna leave it at that. This is a figure that I've never liked in the promotional images. I don't know if anyone agrees with me, but I never liked her promotional shots. But before anyone gets mad at me, if you look at like user photos, like people who actually own this figure, I think she looks a lot better, and I think she looks honestly pretty great. Like, it's hard to appreciate her outfit from these photos. It's not really like showing how like vibrant and glossy and even like a little bit glittery it actually is, and her face looks so much better when you get to actually zoom in on it. Like, I would argue that this is one of Freeing's better figures in my opinion. Maybe it's just because it's not a traditional bunny. They did go out of their way to make it very unique. But whatever the case, I think a lot of people are very happy that this bunny is getting re-released. And maybe if, you're not sold on this one, you should go out of your way, look for some photos, and make a decision based on that. Alright, we're here, the headliner of the video, the B-Style Azur Lane, New Jersey, Living Stepping Complete figure. Now, this is an amazing bunny figure. Let me just get that out of the way. This looks fantastic. I love that, the fact that New Jersey, which I don't play Azur Lane, but I love that, being from New Jersey, she got, like, the best bunny figure that's been made in quite some time. She looks phenomenal. The way her hair sculpt is just draping all over the place looks fantastic. The color of her suit looks amazing. She has unique bunny ears. She even gets a pole to ride on, which is just fantastic. Gives her a really unique, sexy pose. Plus, I like that she has painted nails. It's a good color. But as you can see, it's staring you right in the face. This is a 66,000 yen figure. And I don't know how we got here. I don't understand how this is so freaking expensive. When I originally saw this, I thought, yeah, it's probably going to be like a 40,000 yen figure. But a lot of Freeing's other figures have been raising in price as well. So I get that they had to raise the price on this one more than my prediction. And there is a lot of plastic here, to be sure. Her hair is literally all over the place. It's insane. And that is where like all the cost is really coming from. Her hair sculpt is just way too big to be like any reasonable price. But 66,000 yen is just not something a lot of people will even be able to afford. Some people look at this price and, maybe they can afford it, but they just don't want to put the money down. It's just too much for them. But at the same time, there are going to be plenty of people who see this price and, just immediately pre-order it no matter what. They love this character. And that's the end of the story. They will get it. So the unfortunate thing here is that it's just like a too bad situation. Like, we can't really do anything about it. It does cost too much money in my opinion. I think it should cost a little bit less, but I've also spent a lot of money on other figures that I like that maybe some people would argue that isn't worth the price as well. That's really the problem here, is that like there's always a figure that you will be willing to spend more money on than usual, and then others will also be like that, and then there's other people who will look at you like you're an idiot and you're spending way too much money. So for anyone watching this video, did you pre-order it? Or do you think Freeing is out of their minds and it's just not worth it at all to buy this? Let me know. But yeah, that's the big rant of the video, so let's move on. Let's jump over to this Nazuna figure real quick, which was one of the more exciting announcements from Kotobukiya at their event. It just went up for 21,000 yen, a bit more than I honestly thought it would be. Not that I think the price is unreasonable, but I'm just used to seeing Kotobukiya's prices be a little bit lower than I'm used to. I already talked about how much I like this one. I think her face is fantastic. The whole coat idea is very interesting as well. But if I could add anything from last time, if you go to the Kotobukiya store and pre-order this, you'll get an additional head, which has longer hair and a different expression. Sometimes I feel like the bonuses aren't really worth it, but with this figure, I feel like you'll want that. That's a pretty substantial extra piece that you will feel like you're missing out on if you don't go to their store and get it. So definitely consider doing so if you want to pick her up. I mean, it's still a great figure, even if you don't want to do that. I love her expression, like I said last time. Her body is very attractive. And I think it's a very unique figure because of the base and the coat itself. So whatever you choose to do, you'll probably be happy with this one. But keep in mind that you can have an alternate headpiece if you go to Kotobukiya. Alright, I guess we gotta talk about Eris's butt from Jobless Reincarnation. This is Q's Q, which means the quality is going to be amazing. Now, unfortunately, I don't think everyone is gonna be down to buy a figure like this. So you have a weird situation here where the best figure of Eris, quality-wise, is gonna be an undressing figure. We did just have another figure of Eris in a swimsuit. I think that was Chara Ani. I don't really remember, but they showed it off at some event or a store, and it had a lot of problems. The prototype didn't look very good. So if you were into that one, I figure you would also be into this one, and this will likely be so much better than that one that you might want to reconsider your pre-order, or I guess get them both. If you want my advice, I say don't get that one, get this one. The face on this figure is a lot better, very expressive. I actually really like her face a lot. The hair sculpting looks fantastic. The way the red hair is shaded looks super good. And of course, it's cute and funny. So there you go. Hey, if you want to get an Eris figure like this, go for it. I think Q's Q won't let you down, and you'll be happy. Alright, we got more lewd figures. Minky from Hell Teacher Nube. I actually was looking forward to this one, but I've kind of been pre-ordering a lot of stuff that I think I'm gonna have to pass on this, unfortunately. I don't even know this character, I just love her retro, like, 90s aesthetic that she has going on for her. It's just a demon girl with some crazy twin tail pink hair, and she looks pretty sexy to me. She's a cast-off, which I had no idea going in. Fully cast off, I'm not gonna show you that. Feel free to look her up. But, yeah, all the clothes come off. Or at least, like, the top and the bottom, you know what I mean? I don't think, like, the leggings come off at all, but the important stuff comes off, if you know what I'm saying. She's got a really cute appearance. I love this kind of thing, like the cutesy demon stuff. But, again, I just don't really know if I have the money. At this point, I've been spending too much. And now I'm just rambling about myself, which is not what this is supposed to be about. This is going to be a great figure. Amakuni is going to kill it. I know they are. Definitely a niche figure. I don't see this selling like super well, which could mean that it will be hard to find in the future if you aren't interested in it now. So this one gets a big old thumbs up for me, but I may not be joining you guys in buying it. We'll see. Amakuni is also making a Persona 5 figure for Kasumi, the Phantom Thief version. This is probably going to be one of her best figures. I don't remember if Kasumi has that many, but again, like I said, with Minky, Amakuni is just an amazing company in my opinion. One of my favorites, and one that I will always recommend if you can afford it. Definitely love the elegance to her pose. There's a bit of a leaning potential sadly, but it looks good conceptually. It's based on artwork, so that's just kind of how it has to be. Along with the rapier, you can also have her hold onto a gun, which personally I feel like takes away from the gracefulness of the figure, even if it does look nicely sculpted. Her mask is also removable, and they did a damn good job with her face. So, in my opinion, we've got another certified banger for the Persona fans. Okay, so these next few figures I'm going to do a bit of a speed round for. I just don't have that much to say, if I'm being honest with you. First up is this holo figure from Furyu. Now, very cute outfit, love the color scheme, her face is alright, and her ears are really tiny. It's an alright figure, not my favorite, but it kind of pales in comparison to the Good Smell Company one from a few months back. This Nobara figure has the best face I've seen on a Nobara figure. Unfortunately, it's Figuarts. I don't know if that means it's going to be good or not. The quality control is not always there with Figuarts, unfortunately, but I genuinely think this one looks fantastic from its prototype. There's also a matching Megumi figure in this Figuarts line, and unfortunately, it has this really ugly purple electricity that I just feel like ruins it completely, which is a shame because it's a really dynamic, interesting sculpt, and his expressions both look really good. This figure, this one right here, might be one of the worst figures I've seen this year. Doesn't even look like her, not at all, ugly as hell. Genuinely cannot think of one positive thing to say about this one. They gotta be out of their mind to be asking 17,000 yen for this. Eastream finally put up their Gojo monochrome version, which is basically just a less colorful version of a figure that is already out. I don't really know who this sells to. It feels kind of like a weird cash grab, but not a good one, because again, who is this marketed towards? Just hunt down the original one if you like it, because I can't imagine this one is going to be too exciting to get. This figure right here is simply in the video just because I like the name of it, the AK-12 Age of Slushies version. I love that she's actually having a brain freeze in this sculpt. It's pretty cute, I like her pose. The way she's kind of crisscrossing her feet, not really something I see too often in figures for some reason, but I like it. You know, I can't recall if I've ever talked about a Sonico figure in one of these pre-order videos, but I'm gonna do it now out of obligation. Here we have a very straightforward figure by Wave. It's a one-piece swimsuit, her boobs are huge. That's all you need. Hey, go buy one, go buy two, I don't know, give one to a friend. They'll love you for it, I guarantee it. Here we have a Kento Nanami figure from Kotobukiya. He's just standing there, he's got his knife, he's adjusting his tie, he looks great. Looks just like him. Kotobukiya will deliver on the quality. He's a fan favorite, so he'll probably sell well, but there's like 3 figures in this pose at this point, so I don't know, man. It's like a battle of the Kento Nanamis, and one of them will come out on top. We're slowing down again. This is Purple Heart and Black Heart from Flare. I was very surprised when I saw that this was Flare, because I'm not that impressed by it, and I love Flare. I think they're one of the best companies out there, but this just doesn't look that great to me. It might just be the promotional shots, maybe the photos are taken too far away, but everything looks a little bit too soft and like kind of lacking in detail. So yeah, this one does kind of disappoint me a little bit. I want to like it more than I do. I think they're both, you know, cute, sexy in a way, like they're in the lingerie, they're a bit revealing. That's nice about this figure, but I mean, there are so many figures like that this one isn't going to sell me on just that concept alone. But I'm going to leave this figure on a topic. Look at Purple Heart's right arm. Do you think it makes sense? Do you think that is a natural pose for her to be in? Or is it a little bit forced, a little bit awkward, or maybe even not possible to make? There's a lot of comments on this one actually, and it's kind of funny to read through all the comments and see everybody's opinions. I personally think that once someone pointed it out to me, it kind of ruined the figure a little bit. Even if it's possible, it still does look a bit strange, and that's all I focus on at this point. So yeah, that's my stance, but let me know if you completely disagree or you think something's wrong. Alright, looks like we got another 1/4 scale figure that's even more expensive than New Jersey, but assuming the quality can deliver, this one is much more justified in my opinion. In fact, there's so much going on that I might need to make a bunch of bullet points just to point it all out. I'll start here though. For a 1/4 scale figure, her face looks incredibly good. I sometimes have issues with larger scale figures' faces, but here, no problems at all to be found, so she looks lovely. But yeah, the design of this figure is very complicated, and some of it I'm not even really sure how to describe. Like the staff that she's holding onto, it might not even be a staff, but it's a giant seashell weapon with a pearl inside and decorated with gold bells. She of course also has a giant fishtail which has a nice sheen to it with a contrasting shade of red along the fin. I mean, the outfit itself is also just bursting with small intricacies, and even the base isn't basic. We have a wave supporting her up, and I suppose her legs are implying that she's part of the sea itself. There's even some tiny little dolphins swimming around her staff, which I definitely missed at first, which really goes to show you just how much is going on here. So interesting sculpt, vibrant colors, huge scale, it's a potentially amazing figure. Okay, we're actually going to talk about pop-up parades for once. The Lucy XL version has finally went up for pre-order. It's like 40 centimeters in size, it's pretty damn big, and I don't know if I can recommend them yet. Pop-up parades are meant to be affordable. This XL line kind of just like takes a shit on that, and it really doesn't make that much sense unless they really buckle down and make sure the quality is actually up to par with some of Good Smile Company's other products. The problem is, why would I want to spend $200 on something like this, even if it's big, if I could spend $200 on something much nicer and will look better on my shelf, in my opinion. I don't really see the appeal of it. If they aren't going to keep up the quality, which is a problem with pop-up parades at the moment, then why should I really be excited about this? You know what I mean? I think a lot of people get really hyped over big figures. I think that's why stuff like Freeing and Mimeyoi's figures are always like selling off the shelves. People love them because the size is usually impressive. But, you know, they typically do have enough quality to back it up. I don't know if that's going to be the case with these pop-up parades. I hope they are. I really do. But we can't tell yet. All we have to go by is that the old pop-up parades were kind of declining in quality, and a lot of people weren't that thrilled about them. So I don't really know what to say about this one. Not to mention, I kind of like the original Lucy a little bit more. Maybe it's just her outfit, maybe it's her hair, but I kind of think that sculpt is a bit more interesting than the Lucy that they're using for the XL. This whole thing might just be a hot take at this point. I hope they turn out good, but I'm kind of cautious about getting behind the XL line at the moment. Alongside it, we're also getting a Miku Because You're Here large version. So this is another pop-up parade, but it's large instead of extra large. It's not nearly as big. It kind of more so scales with normal figures, in my opinion. Maybe something along the 1/8 to 1/7 scale. And it only costs around 8,000 to 8,800 yen, I believe, which is much more like palatable. It won't hurt you so bad if this doesn't turn out that great, in my opinion. Do I think this Miku figure is worth $80 to $90? Not really. It looks fine. It kind of has a unique face to it, but that's about all I can really say for it. There's so many more Mikus that are on the market right now, even from Good Smile Company themselves, which I would highly recommend. This one, though, I wouldn't blame you if you wanted it. I wouldn't think it would be that bad of an idea to pre-order one of these and see how the L line turns out. But the Berserker Guts is going up soon, and it's apparently going to be the same price as this, which I just don't understand. I mean, that's a blessing for me because I would imagine the Guts would cost more money to make, but if they're going to all cost the same price, then I'm down for it, at least for Guts. I'll be experimenting with this line when that one comes out. This one, on the other hand, is kind of just there for me. Not offensive, but it's just kind of whatever. Also, I found this release kind of interesting and maybe even aggravating if you bought the original release. But they made a 1.5 version of all the quintuplets from the movie, I guess. Like, they have slightly different color palettes, a bit more vibrant, and their faces are a little bit better in my opinion. I do think these are a higher quality than the original pop-up parades, but I can only imagine this would rub someone the wrong way if they bought the original set. I don't fall into that category, so I can appreciate it for what it is, but yeah, I don't really like it when companies do that, especially like with a pop-up parade. I don't think we've ever even really seen that yet, and it's a bit of a dangerous road to go down, because if they start doing 1.5s for way more characters, I think people are just going to stop buying these altogether. It'll just make people worried about better figures coming out in the future. Either way, these look good, and if you buy them all together, you get a special box. So if you are a collector and you love all these characters, I say go for the box, because that'll be way harder to find in the future. Moving on to the Nendoroids of the month, and the one that I'm the most looking forward to, the Kirby 30th Anniversary Edition. I am so glad that I was wrong about this one completely. I thought it would be very lazy, but everything about this Nendoroid is very unique and different from last time. Instead of coming with copy abilities, he comes with these really interesting items like a sweet potato, the heart from Star Allies, a bindle stick, which is like a reference from Dreamland 2. My friend pointed that out to me. I would have had no idea where this thing came from, and of course the slightly different star rod that we saw from last time. But also his faceplates are very different. Outside of his happy expression, which is basically the same as last time, he comes with the classic Kirby, a really shocked expression, and a dizzy one. Plus he comes with a unique base that doesn't seem phoned in. It actually looks like they put a lot of effort into designing this thing. He's not very expensive either, but the problem is that he was exclusive, and he's sold out in every store. There is not a lot of places left for you to pick this guy up if you like him. You could still get him at the very least from the American Good Smile site, but outside of that, a lot of places sold out. So if you like this thing, and you probably should because it looks amazing, you should really pre-order it now before you regret it. This is the Near A2 short hair Nendoroid. Now, I feel like that description kind of makes it seem like it's very lazy, but actually outside of her arms and legs, everything else about this Nendoroid is different. The hair is obviously different, all three faceplate expressions are unique, and the weapons she comes with are not the same as last time. It might look like a cash grab, and I guess you could see it that way if you really aren't interested in this, but I don't really think it's fair to call this lazy. Personally, I wasn't never really sold on this Nendoroid to begin with. I just feel like it doesn't really look like A2. But as far as the product goes, I don't feel like it's fair for me to downplay it because it is basically a different Nendoroid. Plus, I think the Beast Lord looks really nice. That probably is the best accessory between all of the accessories both of the Nendoroids had. At least if you ask me, I think it looks really nice. Ushio from Summertime Rendering. Last time, I didn't really like this one, and again, I don't feel like it's that great. I can admit that I do like the other faceplates more than her default, but for 6,000 yen, you really aren't getting that much. Her only accessories are a seashell necklace and curry, and then her outfit is just a swimsuit. It's really basic, and for 6,000 yen, I feel like you could do a lot better, so I can't really recommend this one unless you love this character. It's a bit undercooked to me. I don't really know what else to say. Korra got a surprise re-release. This was one of the most expensive Nendoroids you could find out there, easily going for $200 to $400, maybe even more. So make sure you buy this if you like Korra this time. Don't skip on it. Hopefully everyone who wanted this gets it because, Jesus Christ, those aftermarket prices were ridiculous. Nyanko Sensei. As you can see, he is a pretty big, round boy. Now, from a surface level, it does look pretty basic, but I actually think this Nendoroid is solid. All three of his faceplates are pretty expressive, but his accessories are actually very solid. He has a lot going for him. The Manju Orb, a fried shrimp, a bottle of sake, a sake cup, a green foxtail, and a butterfly. So you get a lot with him. But as a bonus, he's also a magnetic Nendoroid, so just like Kirby, you can move his limbs around and make him pose in any way you want. And this is one of the best features a Nendoroid can have. It is much more fun to play with these things when they're magnetic, and it just works, and it's so much more seamless than any peg could possibly be. So Nyanko gets a big old recommendation from me. Elena, an adorable looking witch. Unfortunately, it's 8,000 yen. But I don't want to take away from its craftsmanship because it really does look like a very nice Nendoroid. What a fantastic outfit, and that huge witch hat just looks so good. The exasperated and staring faceplates look so fun to play with as well. And that witch broom looks really nice, way better than any of the Little Witch Academia Nendoroids, unfortunately. But, I mean, those were a lot cheaper, plus they were characters I actually knew and loved, so I'm fine with that. But it really does look nice here. So it's a great looking Nendoroid, but one that will cost you a pretty penny if you want to get her. Best Girl Sumi from Rent-A-Girlfriend got her Nendoroid up for pre-order. Honestly, extremely adorable. I love all of her faceplates. but she doesn't really come with that many accessories, just a bag and some ice cream honestly. Not a deal breaker, she is cheap, but I do feel like I have to point out that she's not really that exciting as far as a Nendoroid goes, but she is still very cute. So Astro's Nendoroid looks really good. I was very surprised when I saw this go up for pre-order. I don't think it was even announced beforehand, but he looks kind of amazing. Like, he's really slick and modern, and he doesn't even really look like a Nendoroid, which I think is to his strength. All three of his faceplates are great. They're very expressive. Despite being a little robot dude, they managed to capture that personality from the game. And the accessories look very nice too. I'm pretty impressed by this one, so I would recommend it if you like this character. I haven't even played this game, and I still like it myself. Tatsuya and Maya from Persona 2 went up for pre-order together. And you know, it kind of just makes me happy when these old video game characters get merchandise. Just something I like seeing. I like it when companies do that. And I'm glad that both of these two seem to have come out really nicely. Gotta give it up to Maya though. I think her Nendoroid looks a little bit better. Not that Tatsuya looks bad at all in any way, but I really like her outfit, and I think her faceplates look a bit better as well, especially the winking face. There's something about it that's really charming to me, like it captures the art style of Persona a bit more than any of the other faceplates. But you really can't go wrong with either of them, and you probably would want both anyway if you like Persona 2 to begin with, so you're probably sold on these anyway. It's not like Persona 2 ever gets merchandise, so this is a pretty rare occasion. Aloy from Horizon Forbidden West also got a Nendoroid. A lot of PlayStation stuff this time around. You know, haven't played this yet, don't really have interest in it, but she is really detailed for a 6,500 yen Nendoroid. Like, her outfit is unique, her accessories like the spear and the crossbow and the miniature robot thing, they all look great and varied. And the only downside, I guess, are the background sheets, because who really cares about those, but I gotta give him credit. This doesn't feel lazy, nor does it feel overpriced. And then the last Nendoroid was Chifuyu from Tokyo Revengers, another surprise announcement that kinda came out of nowhere, but we know plenty more Tokyo Revengers stuff is on the way, so yeah. It's another one of those Nendoroids that will have regional differences depending on where you buy it from. Feel free to look into that, kinda obvious when you do. But as for the bang for your buck here, it's actually not bad. But after Mikey turned out kinda meh, it's hard to really recommend him blindly. Still, he comes with a cat, love that, yakisoba and a comic book, and even an extra front hair piece to tie it up in a knot. So the effort's there, but the quality control needs to be there as well, so who knows how this will really turn out. As for Figma, not many this time around, but we did get the Racing Miku 2022 version. Frankly, I think this is a design much more suited for a scale figure. All the wonderful detail that would be found in a skin-tight suit is totally lost in a Figma. It's just not the same, and it's not like it's trying to be, but it just doesn't feel like a good match to me. I do like that this allows this specific Miku to feel complete though, because you get full control over her flag, and whether or not she's wearing the visor, which can't really be said for scales at the moment at least. I don't think we've seen any with swappable parts, but yeah, it's a good design, technically a nice Figma as well. But the outfit's charm is definitely lost a little bit in translation here. The other Figma of the month was Altria Pendragon, and if you're gonna go all out with the DX version, prepare to pay a pretty penny as she costs 17,800 yen. Now, that's expensive, obviously, but to be fair, you do get a horse with crazy armor. Horse Figma on their own are like 5,000 yen or so, and a detailed Figma like Ultra here costs like 9,500 on her own. So do the math, add some more for the horse armor, and it's really not that bad. It just seems worse because it's a Figma that's nearing 20,000 yen. Despite all that though, it's honestly an amazing looking Figma. Badass horse aside, Lancer sculpting and paint job looks superb. They went for a cape cloth for better posability, and goddamn, those effect parts for her noble phantasm are sick looking. I ain't going anywhere near this, but I think she's pretty damn cool looking. Alright, and with that, we are done. I'd say a pretty good month overall with some curveballs here and there, but hey, thanks for watching this video. If you want to discuss anything this month, be sure to leave a comment down below, and if you want to support the channel, be sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. That's gonna do it for me though. I'll catch you next time. See ya!